We all need a dedicated workspace, and we also need it at home. So this tutorial is going to be more about setting up a workspace for designers at home. Welcome back to my channel. This is Sandeep here, and today we're going to be discussing a couple of tips to set up a little studio space at home for designers. So let's just get started with all of these ideas. First is the most important thing: to have a computer. You need that platform where you can actually work. So to begin with, I will even say that use whatever computer you have at the moment and just upgrade a little bit. If the computer is slow, if the computer is, let's say, about 5 years older or something. If it is older than that, I may not be able to suggest that, but I think till from today to 5 years older computers can still work really better if you can just upgrade the RAM. And I think upgrading the RAM is like it's like the most affordable upgrade that you can do on a computer. I've also done the same. This is a 2011 version of my iMac, and I have just upgraded the RAM. I could not upgrade anything else like the SSD or anything, but I just upgraded the RAM to from, I think it was around 8 GB. I upgraded it to 12 GB. And now it works really perfectly fine. This does everything for me. I can work on Photoshop or Illustrator. I can work on even video editing and music making. I do everything with this single computer, which is almost, I think about 8 years old now. So yeah, so you can work on any of your existing computer. The other point of discussion could be, if you're going to buy yourself a new laptop or a computer, then which one to go for? Either you should go for a Mac or for a Windows. That's an unending debate. Personally speaking, I prefer using the Mac because I think this is very much productivity driven. If you are considering about Windows, I think Windows laptops and computers, they're really good. If you want to get them built, I think they're more economical. They're more, I'll say they're more flexible in terms of tweaking them and reconfiguring them as opposed to Macs. But then I think from my experience, I think I prefer to use a Mac, because if I have to use my softwares like Photoshop, Illustrator, or even any presentation, I would definitely love the overall entirety of a Mac. The screen, the colors, the interface, it is very minimal and clean. You just get onto your work directly without losing any distraction from any other pop-up or anything. That's my experience again. I'm not a tech advisor. I'm not into any technology or something. I'm only talking from a designer's perspective. I have used Windows before, and it has actually crashed on me many times, and I've lost work from which I've lost work for, like some real hours and hours of work I've lost in that. So that is where I think some main factors actually compound together, and they help me decide that I would love to choose a Mac. It is again totally very subjective. It is totally personal. If you are comfortable using a Windows, please go with a Windows. And as I said in the beginning, even if you have any available laptop or a computer which is a couple of years old, you can actually upgrade it and use that. Tip number 2. Have your softwares in place. I think a couple of softwares are really important for you to begin with, and I think those will really suffice. Adobe Photoshop, Illustrator. And again, if you have to break it further down, I will explain it. Why do you need a Photoshop against an Illustrator, and why can't we just do with one? I think it's very easy to understand, because Photoshop is all about pictures and editing pictures. It's about pixels. Photoshop is about creating your dreaminess of pictures and working on photographs and processing images. Okay, that, to cut it short, Photoshop is about that. But on the other hand, when you have to work on vectors, and if you have to create logos or flat drawings, and when your images are more about vector graphics. When you say vector graphics, it is about those the graphics, they never pixelate, by the way. When you work on Illustrator, you'll understand when you zoom into the maximum, it'll never pixelate. So that's the beauty of Illustrator. On the other hand, they look a little animated, or they look a little cartoonish to make it sound easy for you. But I will say they are actually vectorized, and they look a little unrealistic, but they're more useful for creating logos and creating your branding elements like your brochures or posters about putting up any names and tags, because your text or your logos, everything that you create on a vector platform like an Illustrator, I think they will never give up on you on, in terms of resolution. So if you save a file as a PDF or save it as an SVG or save it as an AI file, it is never going to pixelate for you. So that's so these two basic softwares are important. You have Adobe Photoshop, Illustrator, put them together. You may want to add in InDesign, but that is totally, again, optional. I mean, I will say that you can actually achieve your InDesign work on Illustrator. You can even if you want to think of adding Lightroom onto your list of softwares, it is again totally up to you. If you want to stretch your budget and then you want to maintain that, you can do that. But I'll still say that you can still save on the entire results of Lightroom that you want to achieve. You can actually get it within Photoshop. There's a plugin called Camera Raw, so you can actually just do all the photo editing effects within that Camera Raw plugin. I will share again a detailed video about it, and we are going to work on that in the forthcoming videos. And the third one is PowerPoint, the underdog of softwares, I will say. And we've always underestimated the power of PowerPoint actually. PowerPoint can actually deliver the quality of presentations that we could actually never even imagine. Like, we have actually never, personally me, I've actually never given that much time into PowerPoint, thinking that it would have been like a very basic software. But PowerPoint, to create your presentations, I mean, it's actually mind-blowing. I'll be sharing a couple of videos on PowerPoint as a separate channel, as a separate playlist. And I think we'll learn a lot, because I'm also learning a lot about exploring into PowerPoint. Why? Because we are now moving into presentation design. Presentation design for designers have become as important as creating a collection. You really need to have it in your list of softwares. Keep them in place, and I'm sure you will thank me for that. So to sum it all again, I will say you need to have Adobe Photoshop, Adobe Illustrator, and Microsoft PowerPoint. If you're using a Mac, then you also have an option to use, you call it keynotes in the apps. It's already provided in all your Macs. If you have a Mac, you can always use Keynote. Number 3, iPad Pro, or use a tablet where you can draw. You can also choose to draw using a Wacom tablet. For example, I have a Wacom tablet here, and I'm just showing you a pen, but I think even if you get yourself a basic touch and play Wacom tablet, I think these are really amazing. This is going to save all your butt to create or draw anything. And again, I'm planning to do another set of playlists only on drawings and using the Wacom tablet. If you want to expand further, I think you can even consider having or buying an iPad Pro, but that's totally again up to you. If your budget allows you, please go ahead, because iPad Pro is just becoming as strong as a computer. Softwares like Procreate, and there are many vector softwares which are really high in resolution, and at the same time they have amazing, endless kind of outputs that can deliver realistic looking drawings. Everybody's working on, you can see so many people working these days on iPad with the pencil and the stylus these days, that the work is amazing. I mean, if you want to really focus towards just doing illustrations and doing artworks, print artworks, you can actually consider having an iPad Pro. Some people, they just have an iPad Pro because they want to focus totally on illustrations and hand drawings and work on artworks. You can just go with an iPad Pro and not even invest on a computer. It is as good as that. To my knowledge, a little limited knowledge, I will say, I've also got to know that I think Photoshop and Illustrator, the full package, is also getting into the iPad now. Again, I'm not promoting Apple products here. You can even try the other tablets, like Samsung has just come up with a new tablet, so you can try with that. I am trying my drawings on my Samsung Note 8, and I think they're really amazing. I'll suggest a software, it is called Sketchbook by Autodesk. Try that software, I think you'll be really happy. and that is like a parallel to, I will say, Procreate to my knowledge. So try that software, and I think you will be able to achieve your illustrations and your work through that as well. Next tip is about having a mouse. Having a mouse is really important, and I'm telling you, for people who are using laptops. In one of my previous videos, I think I'm going to share a link here up here. So where I'm talking about a couple of tips of getting into the digital side of design. I've mentioned to use one of your hand on the keyboard as keyboard shortcuts. But then now when I'm talking about using a mouse, this is important for people who are using their laptops, because laptops you have an option to use the trackpad. I will recommend to invest a little bit extra, but invest on a mouse like the Logitech MX Master. This is not a sponsor, this is just by my experience. I'm just sharing this through my experience. You try this mouse and I think you'll be blown away again. There are a couple of features in it which I'm going to share again in a different video. I'm going to compare the Magic Mouse and this with the Wacom tablet as well. And then the last tip is create yourself a dedicated workspace at home. Create yourself a dedicated workspace at home. You can space it around within your bedroom. People are doing that. People are doing some real professional work just through their bedroom. You can consider a space in your living room, but do create a dedicated space for your productivity, because you need to focus at a place. You cannot focus and continuously work on an artwork which you want to really finish with your imagination if your focus is not on a dedicated space. People try to work on their bed or on their couch or anywhere, but I think that does not really help in a long run, and I think it ends up in low productivity. To improve your productivity, please invest on a desk space and a good chair, an ergonomic chair where you can actually sit for hours and you don't even realize very comfortably that you've been working and you've been able to focus on your work. So invest on a little space for your productivity. So those were my tips for creating a workspace as a design studio at home. And I hope these tips were helpful for you. And if you still have more questions and if you want to leave some honest, critical comments, I'd love to hear from you. So please leave your comments in the comment section below. And if you like my channel, I'd love it if you subscribe it, and I'd love to hear more from you, because I'd love to have this more in an interactive way where I can hear things from you. You ask me to do some videos about some tutorials about something, and I work on that. It feels there's a purpose to creating my videos. So, and if you like it, please share it with your friends. I think information and knowledge is something that we can share for free, and we can just all benefit all together. I will also learn from that. So yeah, with that, I'll wrap up for this video, and I'll see you in the next one.